welcome to another episode of SFP now, but this is also kind of a genre-tainment episode because joining me is Marx and Julie, and this is basically a show that we ran a while back called a Roundtable. And we decided to bring this show back, and we're probably going to hopefully bring it back in the year, aren't we, as well, guys?
Yeah, hopefully.
What we're doing now is we're actually going to do a best and worst list of TV shows and films, and we're going to give a special mention to web series at the end. We're not going to do a best and worst of web series. We're just going to sort of mention some ones that are worth seeing. But joining me is Marx and Julie. So, guys, how you doing?
We're doing good.
Okay, so are we ready to rock and roll and get this thing going? Oh yeah. So what should we start with best movie?
Sure. Yeah. Start off on the good foot with a best.
We start off with the good stuff and just end with the really, really bad stuff. Let's take 2014 out on a porno.
Okay.
Okay, well, my best, I think, for me, the best movies I've seen this year include Guardians of the Galaxy, which I've seen several times.
I thought you were Julie. What's going on here?
No, that means I agree.
Awesome.
Oh, okay.
Should that be We Are Groot?
Yeah, We Are Groot. We agree.
We are Groot. But for me, Guardians of the Galaxy was the best cinematic experience that I've actually had since going to see the original Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I mean, I love that movie. It was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, it made me think about being a kid watching Star Wars.
Yeah, it reminded me of that feeling of watching Star Wars also.
Basically, Star Wars is no longer Star Wars. Now Guardians of the Galaxy is Star Wars.
I mean, the whole Rocket Raccoon and Groot thing, and let me tell you, I actually sell bobbleheads online, the Funko stuff. And I actually had a consignment of the Groot pop vinyls, and the operative word here is had. Uh-huh. They went, as soon as I enlisted them, they were gone.
Yeah. I adore Groot and Rocket.
Yeah, I love how Marvel took this obscure, much lesser known, team and these characters, and now they're like one of the most popular.
Well, I think it's so funny that it's like DC still can't figure out how to do Wonder Woman because like a strong female character is like too difficult to make people believe, but Marvel's like, screw that, we're doing like a talking tree and a raccoon.
Yeah, and we're also gonna throw in a hot green chick called Gamora.
Yeah, why not? So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is, I think, on all of our lists for sure.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Must see if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and if you haven't, what's wrong with you? No, just kidding.
Go see it, or we will have Rocket Raccoon go around with a chainsaw and chop off all your legs and replace them with artificial ones and then steal them.
Yeah. He's adorable.
I love that. I just love that humor.
Uh-huh.
It's just really stupid.
Also, one of my favorite movies we've seen this year, I loved the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. I've been looking forward to it because, it's like the first one was really good. The second one was good, but it was like, oh, for the love of God, I've seen the games already. I'm ready for the revolution. So finally, we get to the revolution, and I'm all excited about that. And I'm waiting to finish watching the movies before I read the books.
Yeah.
The first one for me was good. The second one was kind of meh because it's kind of went.
It felt like it's doing the same thing over again. Yeah.
Yeah, went too political, to be honest. I just think there would have been better off cutting out this middle chapter and just getting straight to
it is political by nature. I mean,
I don't care. Let's get on with the king in already. You know what I mean?
Although interestingly, after I watched Mockingjay Part 1, I was able to go back and watch Catching Fire, and I was able to enjoy it more because I've forgotten my start of the revolution. So
it was good, and it had a really good cliffhanger. Everybody in the audience,
they're like, no!
They're like, no!
Everyone just like grumbled and grumbled.
The cliffhanger, it reminded me of the cliffhanger in Pirates of the Caribbean 2. I just walked out of the cinema wanting to commit homicide.
I wasn't too upset about the cliffhanger in the Pirates of the Caribbean, but this one was more so.
But they warned us by saying it's part 1. So you're warned.
I was warned, but it still bugged me more.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I've not seen Mockingjay Part
Oh,
1
you
yet,
need
so
to. It is so good.
I'll get around to it. It's just so like the Hunger Games for me is not what I go to the cinema for. It's got way too much going on in terms of the politics and stuff. Whereas I go to the cinema for more of the popcorn action movies.
Oh, okay.
And I tend to watch the movies that have a little bit more substance and a little bit more sort of like cerebral qualities at home, you know. But that's just me. But then again, I'm going to contradict myself here because I really, and I went to see this at the cinema. I really enjoyed the new Planet of the Apes film.
Didn't see that one.
No, we haven't seen it yet.
No.
Really cool movie. You got.
We've seen them up to that one though, but we haven't seen this last one.
Well, if you like the first one that they did, you're going to make the second one even better, I think, because it's so like the second one. It's more about the apes versus the humans. You know, Caesar actually makes a friend with this human guy. If you remember, I think it was Kobo. Do you remember the ape Kobo from the first one? That was a kind of bullying Caesar, and then Caesar sort of like turned and beat him up, and then he joined the cause sort of thing. Well, there's quite a lot of opposition between Caesar and Kobo, so that kind of carries on into this. Whereas they kind of start as friends, as allies sort of thing, but as soon as the humans come back into the picture, Kobo and Caesar are at odds again.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, we liked the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Although that was one that it was a good thing I did see it in the theater, because if I had been watching it at home, I would have stopped watching it in the beginning. Like, it was just so upsetting, like what they were doing to all these chimps. And you know, if I'd been at home, I would have just turned it off and not finished watching it. So.
I don't get affected by it that way, you know. I just tell myself I'm sat in the theater, you know.
Well, being at the theater, I didn't want to spend money and not finish the movie, so I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did, because you know it got really good. But you know, if I'd been at home, I wouldn't have finished watching it probably.
If you're fighting against an army of talking apes, is that animal abuse?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes.
I just sort of like say to myself, look, Ian, it's not real. It's a movie. You can stay.
Well, what bothers me about it, though, is that does really happen. People really do imprison and torture, mutilate, and murder animals and they don't even need to scientifically anymore. You know, they just do it because there's money to be made. You know, so the fact that it really does happen, you know, I found upsetting. But
yeah, but when something like that is in the context of fiction, I just take it in the context of fiction. If I read about it happening in real life, I'm more inclined to get more upset at that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so, and if I witness something like that happening, I'm more inclined to sort of get a machete out and everyone in the room that's doing it.
Amen. I'll be right there with you. We'll be on the ape side during the Planet of the Apes takeover.
Traitor.
Anyway, okay. I think we had one other movie for sure we were going to mention.
Was there another one you wanted to mention?
Captain America 2: Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Woo-hoo! That was my favorite until Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
Yeah, we were like, this is the best one ever. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, this is the best one ever.
I just loved the whole, you know, the whole dynamic of it. I mean, I was a bit worried about Captain America 2, not because of who was directing it or anything like that. I was a bit worried about it because, to me, Captain America has always been this pulpy World War II character. Because I'd only really equated him with the original movie and you know, a lot of old cartoons that I'd seen that were made in you know, that had been rerun on television in the 70s here in the UK, that were made in the 1950s and stuff like that. I'd never actually read a Captain America comic or actually sort of like seen him too much in the context of modern era, other than the animated Avengers films that they did a couple of years ago.
Well,
so I was really worried about it.
Yeah, I was a little worried, not so much because of that, but I liked the first Captain America movie so much, and I love I really do actually love films that are like World War II era. And so I enjoyed the first one so much. I thought they're not going to do the second one justice. I just didn't think that it was. I assumed they'd be kind of phoning it in compared to the first one. I don't know why. I just had that fear, but it was so good. And I mean, I liked the whole ensemble cast, and I think that was the brilliance of it. That it wasn't just Captain America. There were other characters that are from this era to anchor it. And they had good chemistry. I thought they all had really good chemistry together.
It wasn't just Captain America. It was almost an ensemble piece.
Yeah, just almost a smaller ensemble than the Avengers, which I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. I kind of liked what the part of the role that Black Widow was playing in it, and she was trying to fix him up with a date.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing is, like in the Avengers, I was like, Black Widow is just pointless. Like I just thought she was a dull, boring character, and there was no reason for her to be there, and I just thought she was, oh my god, she was just like dry white toast. And they actually, I guess, I was like, oh, she can act. And they gave her something to do. in Captain America, too. I liked her in that one. But in the Avengers, I just thought she was pointless. I mean, there's just someone to be wearing skin-tight black leather pants. And that was the only reason she was there. She had a very small
little gun shooting those alien armies.
I mean, she was just silly in the other one. It was forced. But in this one, she was good.
Yeah. I wanted to give her some bigger guns, though. I mean, come on.
I know, right? She's got those small little pistols.
Woman wearing a skin tight suit like that, the bigger the guns, the better, I say.
Well, and I liked Falcon a lot. I mean, he really, to me, he almost upstaged Captain America through a lot of it.
Well, he is Captain America now in the comic books.
Yeah,
he's the new Captain America.
Yeah, and he was really interesting. I liked him.
Yeah, I like the relationship between him and Steve. Is it Steve
Rogers?
Yeah,
they had great chemistry.
There was a great banter there, but I also like the fact that Nick Fury sort of like went dark. It had sort of like a 70s sort of like espionage thriller type vibe going on throughout the whole plot, and I absolutely adored that. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I like all the twists and turns and the action. It was very well done, and made Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a better show.
Oh my God, yeah, we'll get to that later.
Indeed. I mean, what I did when Captain America came out on DVD or on Blu-ray, I actually got it on VOD, video on demand, and what I did is I watched Captain America 2 again, and then after watching that, I bought the entire first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and rewatched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right up to the point just before Captain America 2. Then I put Captain America 2 on and then watched the rest of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, we'll talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. later when we talk about some series, because I've got a few things to say.
Yeah, we better move on to worst.
So the worst movie. Ian, you have a worst movie of the year?
I just have one. Legend of Hercules.
Okay, we haven't seen that one.
We haven't seen that. I haven't really seen a movie I didn't like this year, so...
We're careful about what movies we watch.
Obviously, I guess we don't see a lot.
Well, I kind of I didn't go out of my way to see this one. I rented it, and I'm glad I did rent it. Rent it. I can't remember the name of the actor, but it's sort of like they kind of turned Hercules into a tragic romantic character sort of thing, and he's not fighting monsters or anything like that. They're trying to humanize him, and it was just boring. It had some great action. I had some actions and stuff going on, which was all kind of like slow motion. It was kind of cheesy.
300-ish slow-mo shots? Is that what
but it worked in 300.
Not even that good. But it was cheesy, and it was cheesy, and the character, it wasn't Hercules. The actual Hercules movie with The Rock, that's slightly more Hercules. That's more Hercules than this. And even that Hercules movie, a lot of people are saying isn't Hercules because they've kind of made Hercules into a regular guy. But at least in the Hercules movie with The Rock, he's a regular guy that can actually bloody kick ass and convincing. Where the other guy kind of looks like I don't know. It's kind of like a boy trying to kick ass.
I thought that's what movie we were talking about. Which Hercules movie is this?
It's called Legend of Hercules.
Who's the star of it?
Oh God, let me quickly IMDb it.
Well, let's go on and we'll talk about. I think Marx and I, we had one that we actually did watch together that was not good. It was The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't know why we bothered to watch the second one because we should have known what to expect the first one.
I didn't feel it was as bad as some people thought, but it was not.
It was pretty bad.
It was not great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's by no means the worst movie I've ever seen. It just, this whole round of Spider-Man is just sad.
Okay, the star of Legend of Hercules was Kangen Lutz.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, I don't
know. Okay, better luck next time, fella.
It's just some muscle-bound ape that looks like he's graduated from a bloody boy band.
I don't think I even heard of this. I thought when you said Hercules, that's what I was thinking was the Rock movie.
Yeah.
No, the Rock movie was actually better than this.
Wow.
But the Rock movie in many realms isn't considered that good either. But I'd take the Rock movie over this anyway.
Dwayne Johnson has just such good charisma and such good on-screen presence that even his bad movies, he's still most of the time entertaining to watch.
Yeah, well, I actually liked the Hercules movie with The Rock. I didn't love it. It wasn't the best movie I've seen, but it certainly wasn't the worst. It falls somewhere in between for me.
The Marvel Universe has a Hercules. Maybe we'll see that in the movies.
Maybe
Rock will play Hercules. That Hercules. That'd be funny.
I'm kind of tired of Hercules now. I think they should just kill him.
After an overdue character, after a while, you got kind of let it rest for a little bit. That was part of the problem with Spider-Man. It was like, well, geez, it hasn't been long enough since the last Spider-Man movies to be like relaunching it. It's like, but they just finished.
They just need to give Spider-Man to Marvel and let them do something with it.
Yeah. I've seen Spider-Man 2, and I actually agree with you guys. It's like, I've actually forgotten that I've seen Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I had forgotten until Marx mentioned it was this year.
You guys literally had to remind me that I've seen Spider-Man 2, and you just reminded me.
It's so bad you've blocked it out.
It took me a minute just to remember who he fought. It was Hobgoblin, but it was also somebody. It was Electro. Electro was so forgettable in that.
Yeah. It just, yeah.
I mean, there's certain things I do like about it, but it is not that strong, and it was too soon for a reboot. Unless they reboot it into the Marvel Universe, then let's do that.
Yes, give it back to Marvel.
Yeah, absolutely. Give it back to Marvel, but I reckon they should just let it lie for about 5, maybe 10 years.
Yeah, I'd say a decade. I mean, just let it.
Well, I would, except I want it in Marvel.
Okay, 5 then, after Marvel gets it.
5-10 years from now, I don't know how the Marvel movies be doing. I mean, there's eventually it's going to tire out. I don't know. We'll see.
Are you saying the Marvel bubble will eventually bust?
Any franchise.
That is heresy.
Any franchise tires out.
I'm telling you, that is blasphemy.
But not for a long time.
Yeah. I think in about 5 or 10 years it will burst, and then DC will suddenly learn how to make movies.
I think you might be stretching it with DC learning how to make movies.
Yeah, they're wonderful at animation, but
and TV series they seem to be
and
doing
TV shows
well,
they're not too bad too.
Not
but
really good with the movies.
Movies, yeah, they don't know what they're doing. The Batman movies weren't bad. The Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah, those were good.
Those were good movies, but everything else.
They didn't seem to get any traction off of those though to launch themselves forward.
I've tried to watch Man of Steel again.
Oh, that was awful. That was just painful.
And I can't figure out why everyone's going, oh, it's great!
Well, and the actor really can act. It's just that, I don't know, that was just a bad movie,
There's no humor in it.
No, it was not his, it really wasn't his fault. It was just the way it was written and directed. And
Superman isn't Batman. He's not always supposed to be that dark. The thing is like, they focused on the Superman, who is not as interesting of a personality. It's about the man behind Superman, which is really Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And that humanity of Clark Kent, we only saw in the flashbacks at all. It was mostly, his dad's stole the show because there was so little humanity in his own character versus his dad's, Jor-El and. Well,
and I might be a little biased too. That I've never been a big fan of Superman, even as a kid. Like the Superman movies with Christopher Reeves were really popular. And, I watched them because, like, my dad, my brother watched him, but I always thought he was boring. I thought Superman was so dull. He just was, like, had no personality. I thought Clark Kent being goofy and trying not to be Superman was more interesting. I always had a thing for Clark Kent over Superman.
And I found that big fight at the end was truly like, oh, finally we're having a real epic level fight that you want to see with a Superman. But they made it boring because it went on forever.
I remember we were watching it, and about the time you think it would be over, it kept going. I was sitting next to Mark, and Mark and I just go, "Oh, for the love of God, isn't this over?"
It's like there's no Metropolis anymore.
And then we just got to laughing through it because we were just joking. We're like, the whole city's leveled by the time they're
done. So like it kind of reminded me. One thing you probably don't know too much about me is I'm a gamer, but I'm a casual gamer. Yeah. And one game I used to love playing back in the 90s was SimCity. And it kind of reminded me whenever you were sort of like trigger an earthquake in SimCity or something like that. Push of a button.
It was just so over the top.
New SimCity feature, Superman battle. Oh, lost half the city.
Can you imagine what the insurance policies must cost in Metropolis?
I know, right? And I think the next Superman movie is supposed to cover that a little bit, like the impact of
their liability,
of the city being destroyed. But a good fight is like a good.
It should tell a story in and of itself.
Dramatic argument, in a movie, let's say, and it has people winning, losing, and going back and forth and twists and turns. And the problem with that fight scene, I feel, there were impressive shots and stuff, impressive visual effects, but it was difficult during the fight to see who was winning, who was losing, really, because no one was really getting hurt. They never bled or anything, and it felt so false that at the end he's just like, oh, yep, I suddenly kill you. And it's like,
why did that suddenly?
It's like, wait, so you can't make him bleed, but you can kill him in 5 seconds. I don't understand.
If it bleeds, it can die.
And if it's so easy to kill each other, why didn't Zod just kill you as easily? Because he doesn't care if he kills you or not. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was kind of like, we've had it's kind of like, hey folks, look at this big fight scene. Oh, look, there's no point to this fight scene because Superman's just killed him at the end. And there's actually a very funny YouTube version. Why Superman was so bad in 10 minutes. I love those.
I mean, if at the end of that their clothes were torn, they were both bleeding and bruised. If you cut the fight in half, it would have been more interesting. It would have been way better fight scene and way more satisfying ending and believable ending.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Superman 2, the fight scenes in that, and then look at this, the Superman 2 fight scenes had far more emotional impact.
Yeah.
Because we actually thought at one point, oh no, they all thought Superman's dead. and then he he wanders off to regroup, and there was far more drama there.
Yeah, I just felt that first half flashback scenes, Jor-El and him and young Clark Kent. Those were good, but after that it just fell apart. Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid the second one, if there's so many heroes getting involved and Batman and other characters and maybe multiple villains, I don't know, that's not giving much time for us to get to know this Superman.
Okay, now we've been beaten up a little bit on DC, but I think we're going to get to
hey, we didn't like Spider-Man 2.
That's true. That one sucked.
Yeah, Spider-Man sucked,
but Marvel was not in control of that one. But we're going to be able to have DC redeem itself, because I think we're going to be talking about next is the best new TV series.
That's right, and I was just about to say that.
I beat you to it. I'm the Segway queen.
Oh, I'm so going to have my revenge.
You're not fast enough. Ha ha. Which leads us to, I think, Marx and I, our best new TV series, The Flash.
Yeah. She is segueing.
I'm moving this along.
So yeah, The Flash, we felt was one of the best new TV series to come out. It did really well in the ratings.
And they did a really good job of spinning it off.
I'd say the best. I'd say it's the best new series, easily. But then again, I've just come off the back of watching the Brave and the Bold, the 2-part crossover.
Oh, yeah.
And loved it. And they've actually shown an extra episode of the Arrow here tonight, which I've not watched yet.
Oh,
but,
it's spun off successfully off Arrow. It has enough of what's in Arrow to feel like it's the same universe, and they do a good job crisscrossing those worlds too. They don't just ignore each other, especially in that crossover. There was things that happened in both that affected each other. And then I feel but Flash is a little bit lighter, sort of. I mean, there's a dark edge to it, definitely.
But it is much lighter.
But it is much lighter, and it's of course got powers. But it all works together well.
One thing that illustrates that for me, and it's sort of like in the in the Arrow segment of the crossover, when Arrow tortures a guy and Flash is sort of like Flash kind of like kicks off about it. He's kind of like, because he's such an idealist sort of thing. He's got these romantic notions of being a hero and doing it in such a way where maybe he doesn't kill anyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, torture. He just shot the guy with like one arrow. I wouldn't say it wasn't like a true torture session.
Just stabbed him and then
stabbed him once with an arrow.
Riding around. I mean, come on.
Well, considering what we know he has done in the past, I'd say he was showing remarkable restraint. Is my point.
Yeah, I mean, so like I would have strapped the guy down and flayed his skin off with a blunt potato peel.
That sounds more Jokerish to me.
Yeah,
but that's torture. That's not.
I'm just saying, compared to the other things we've seen Ollie do, that really, it was tame.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty tame because obviously we've seen Ollie go much further than that in the first season, and maybe even the second season. Though in the second season he was trying to be a good boy.
Yeah, he's trying.
We
like our good boys a little bad.
It made an interesting point that sometimes to get shit done and to get the right sort of results, you've got to get your hands dirty.
Well, I loved at the point where all the sidekicks are talking about who would win, Arrow versus the Flash, and Felicity's like, seriously, are you guys really doing this? It was just so nice to have someone point out that this is ludicrous.
I loved Diggle's response to Flash's speed.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. He's really fast. I love when he's goofy. He's funny.
It was just a great crossover, and it gave every character a little bit of a moment to shine.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another new series that I've seen that's kind of gotten me, and one I'm going to mention. It's available on Netflix. It's not exactly sci-fi, but in terms of storyline and stuff like that, it could well be. If you sort of like put it into a future context or something, or set it on an alien world.
Okay, what is it?
Guys, you got to check out Marco Polo.
Oh yeah, we've seen the first episode of that. It was good.
It gets better. Okay. You got to keep with it. Keep watching it. I want to give that mention as an honourable mention because I've just seen it and it was fresh in my mind and I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah.
So much so that I've only got one episode left.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna mention one more show since that's slightly not genre, but it kind of is. I don't know which category it fit in, but a non-genre show that I thought was pretty good. We've only seen a couple episodes so far, but it's probably a show a lot of people who are listening haven't watched yet. Is DirecTV's Kingdom.
Oh yeah, we've only seen a couple episodes. It is really good, and you don't even have to really be into mixed martial arts to enjoy it. Yeah. I've heard of other people who don't really know much about the sport who just love the show.
Yeah, it's a nice drama type series, and it's if you liked the movie Warrior, it's similar to that, and I don't know, it's fun. It's got some, it's got some drama, and if that gets boring to you, then they beat each other up occasionally.
Yeah. Is Warrior that film about the two brothers? One that sort of like was kind of gone a bit psycho, and and the other one was school teacher who gone into it.
Yeah, one was trying to get money, and the other one
one was psycho.
Got out of prison or something, right?
Yeah, he was just
a troubled youth.
Yeah, he was troubled. He wasn't like totally crazy.
Yeah, he's kind of troubled, and his dad was coaching him. Nick Nolte was coaching him.
Yeah.
And notes he was kind of troubled.
Yeah, he's troubled.
It was. I thought that was a really good movie.
Oh gosh, yeah. I was crying.
Sort
at
of the
end.
MMA modern day Rocky almost, I guess.
Yeah, but this one it follows a family and a training at a gym, and it's really good. Yeah, that's a good one to throw
It's
out
good.
there.
And actually, one of the lead actors to connect it to genre was one of the bad guys in Captain America 2, Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
The guy who will most likely turn into Crossbones.
You know, one of the actors who was in that Legend of Hercules movie was actually Liam McIntyre from Spartacus.
Ah.
Oh.
You know, he played his mate in Legend of Hercules. Which, you know, it's just a real tragedy that he had to play a supporting role in such a really shitty movie.
You know what? The check cashed all the same.
I guess it did.
Yeah, it may not have been good, but the check still cashed.
Well, let's get into worst.
Okay, worst.
Yeah, let's get into worst. I can't think of one.
Well, I guess it was more of a mini series, but
Of a new series, it's more of a mini series, and probably not genre either.
Grace Point. I tried watching a few episodes. I don't think I ever made it through a complete episode.
Yeah, this
It
is
was so boring.
murder mystery adapted from.
The real mystery is how they made it. It was so boring.
Adapted from. Is it a British show that adapted?
Yeah,
from?
it was. I think it was Broadchurch, and didn't have David Tennant in it.
I don't know.
I had high hopes because of the cast, and I love a murder mystery, and it just.
And Fox promoted the crap out of it, but
yeah,
it
I was
did
so
not do
excited,
well.
and then I go, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, it was pretty blah.
It's really strange because I know some I know some people actually like that.
I tried.
Grace
It
Point.
just was.
But they also enjoyed Broadchurch as well.
Maybe if
so.
you saw Broadchurch first, and then this one you got to watch it and be nostalgic for Broadchurch.
Yeah, maybe appreciate it more that way.
Personally, I never really got into it because those sort of BBC or sort of detective dramas that kind of set in a country or whatever. They're kind of too slow moving for me. I get bored of them quite easily.
I generally like that type of series, or movie, but I don't know. This one just didn't.
All right, so that was blah.
That was blah.
You have anything else, Ian?
What is this? This is a worst new series. I can't really think of anything now. Let's go to best return.
I was going to say though, best TV. I have maybe the best guilty pleasure series of this year. For someone, I hate generally most things that have to do with zombies, and I don't like Walking Dead. For a guilty pleasure, I've enjoyed some episodes of Z Nation on Sci-Fi. It's kind of like. It's almost like The Walking Dead, but you don't take it as seriously, so it's not as upsetting, and then the blood's a lot more fake, and it's just a lot goofier.
Actually, I've just thought of a bad news show. You guys will probably disagree with me because you like this sort of thing, but I didn't really connect with Dominion.
Oh no, I don't like Dominion. I couldn't get into it. I've tried, and I dislike it. Marx actually kind of likes it.
I mean, it's not my favorite show, but I'm curious. I watched the movie, so I'm curious because of that. If I didn't see the movie, maybe I wouldn't like it as much. But
I'd seen the movie, but I didn't really like the movie.
But there is something off about it.
I didn't like the.
There's something that's hard to really hook into some of those characters for some reason.
I watched it, and I didn't really care for any of the characters. So it's just kind of if I don't care about characters, then I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what the problem is with it, is they haven't made us really care about the characters enough for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but yeah, that's too.
Yeah, so that would go under my.
But I
worst.
applaud Sci-Fi Channel for making new original shows at least.
Yes, because Sci-Fi had been getting out sci-fied by everyone, especially the CW, for so long.
Yeah, I'm glad they're doing that. They're gonna eventually hit a few big hits. So just gotta experiment.
Okay, so
I think what they need to do is they need to sort of vary their stuff between dark and gritty, such as Dominion, and the more fun stuff as
I
well.
thought you were gonna say they need to vary it from dark or gritty.
Indeed, they're grits.
But yeah, for a long time they were all lighter humor comedy.
Yeah.
They need to mix it up a little bit so they're some days are darker and some days are lighter.
Okay, so best returning TV series.
Oh, that's kind of like I've got two
Okay.
that I consider best returning TV series. The first one is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a completely different show this year. And the second one is Arrow.
Uh-huh.
And those are my two best returning.
Yeah, we have Arrow. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is, in fact, I thought the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was unwatchable. I hated that show, the whole season. I wouldn't even watched any of the second half of it if it hadn't been for Marx. But I actually kind of enjoy it this season. But I would have never even continued to watch it and even bothered with the second season if it wasn't for Marx. And then I also like Supernatural. Of course, I'm a little biased. I love that show.
I've stopped watching Supernatural.
Oh, the first few episodes, especially with Demon Dean, was
you stopped watching. That's it. This is over.
Yeah, we're not friends anymore. I'm sorry.
I kind of stopped watching it after season 8 because season 8 it just got ridiculously flipping boring, and they killed off the best character. They killed off the guy that looks after
the whole Leviathan thing was just sad. That was just, as far as I'm concerned, that didn't happen. Year? Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that didn't happen.
That was a terrible year.
That was an awful year.
I just can't ignore that. It's just so like that's just taking me out of Supernatural entirely.
Yeah, this season is getting better.
Well, there's no more Leviathan, so you can at least kind of try to forget about that.
Yeah. But yeah, then Arrow and like I said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just hated the first season with a passion, but it's actually watchable this season.
And I think it's heralding the future of some of the cinematic Marvel Universe because of now the introduction of, I hope I'm not spoiling anything, but surely not. Of Inhumans into the universe, so
yeah, and Ming-Na actually had some facial expressions this season, which I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah, Julie doesn't like that character.
Agent May is, I think, it would be a better show if they got rid of her. I mean, she is just the most obnoxious character. It's like, this is me happy, this is me sad. They just keep me around to put me in tight clothes because I'm pretty. It's not like I can really do anything, and that's her range. And it's just, it's just as annoying.
She can act, I think.
I've not seen her act.
Wow. She was in Stargate Universe.
I didn't like her.
She played the same character, essentially, didn't she? She didn't
have as many martial arts skills, okay?
She just sort of deadpans everything and lets everyone around her act, and everyone's just in awe because she's so amazing. Because I don't know why. Yeah,
I'll admit she's kind of hot, but I'm not really that engrossed that I'm actually into her, if you know what I mean. She's kind of hot, but there's not really much of a personality that comes through.
Smile
but I think she's I think she's gotten a little bit better this season, but not by much, because the characters that I'm most interested in is the new guy Hunter and is it Mockingbird?
Yeah.
And I kind of love the dynamic between those two. I like what's been going on between the two scientists.
Well, and I like Mac and Trip and all of them too. And I think the first season was especially rough because you had May, who is like cardboard, and then you had Ward, who was boring and like cardboard. And then sometimes you have entire scenes where it's just two really bland cardboard cutouts just sort of deadpanning everything with no emotion and just sort of reading lines. At least Ward is interesting this year.
I think they kind of made Ward cardboard deliberately.
I know, but I can only take so much boring.
They really should have tried. I understand why they made that decision, but I think that was a bad decision.
I think they shouldn't have had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the previous year.
Because the more you would like Ward, the more it would have been impactful to learn he was a spy.
Yeah, as it is, it was just like, he went from so boring, I wish he'd fall out of the airplane just so we can be rid of him, to, now he's kind of interesting.
But they really needed, they should get, they're better this season, so maybe they don't need to, but last season I was like, they really should get some writers from Alias in this show, because it's like, that's what you need, is that kind of feel like Alias, or even Leverage. I mean, just get some...
Yeah, Leverage! We are robbed. We should have had more years of Leverage.
That's what you want.
Oh shit! I've missed the bike on this one, but another best new show. I'll quickly mention it now, so we can
Oh, you're gonna say the same one I am. Go ahead.
The
Yes.
Librarians.
As soon as we said Leverage, I'm like, shoot, that's one. Yes, that is so good.
Yeah, well, it's still very early, but yes, it's from the same team.
Okay, we've only seen a couple episodes, but it's
Leverage.
And I'd like to thank everyone that listened to the Librarians episode that we recorded. So I'm going to thank everyone that listened to that, and please come back and listen to the other shows, please.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That was a really good. I love seeing Christian Kane on there and Noah Wiley and the whole John Larroquette is hilarious.
Yeah, it's a good show, and it replaces the bubble. What's missing with Warehouse 13? Mm-hmm. It's got that.
It's sort of like Warehouse 13, Doctor Who, and Leverage.
Yeah, it's those three. If they had a baby.
A three-way baby. Ooh.
Just silence.
There's something wrong with that. Okay, so we've done the best returning.
Oh, and Arrow's mid-season finale was amazing.
Oh my God,
shocking.
yes.
So, all right, anyway. I like the introduction of Ra's al Ghul and the mystery and stuff like that.
Okay, so worst returning series.
Oh, I got a list. True Blood.
Yeah, that was very disappointing for its last season.
I call that season True Blood fan fiction season.
It was. It was like
fan fiction written by someone that hates Bill.
Oh yeah, that needed help.
It was so it just dragged. Mm-hmm. The whole Bill is slowly dying, dragged. So it got to about episode 3, and I just thought, we've just fucking died already.
Well, and it was so ridiculous, like the way it was done. It was silly, and then her at the end, it was like, who is this guy? Like this, suddenly she's happy with some stranger, like we don't know, and all the characters were just kind of. Everything seemed forced.
The only scenes I liked from that was Eric. Some of Eric's
Eric
scenes.
Northman and Pam. Oh my God! Of course they come out on top. I love them.
I mean, the flashback scenes with them were funny. The scene where he was in the car after the
the scene where Eric Northman's vampire fangirl, the one that works at his bar, she finally gets
have her way with him.
Oh yeah.
That there were just so many good scenes of Eric, and just that's about it.
Yeah.
That was just so funny, she finally gets her way with him, and it lasts all but about 20 seconds.
Yeah. Well, it can happen that way sometimes. That one wasn't. That was disappointing. I think another one that is disappointing, although to be fair, we've only seen a few episodes from this season. We haven't gotten caught up because we got disappointed with it. Sleepy Hollow. We loved it last year. Oh my God, we were so looking forward to it coming back, and we're anticipating. And then the first few episodes were like, eh.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and maybe.
Yeah, I got bored. I seriously got bored and zoned out after about episode 4. I thought, that's it. I can't watch this. So I'll revisit it during the summer when there's nothing on.
Yeah, and I think the ratings kind of reflect that too with people. And I think it's just. I think they've gotten a little bit too wrapped up in their mythology this season, and it's instead of twists and turns, it's turning more into simple plot A to plot, step A, step B. We got to do this.
Yeah,
we're fighting
instead
against
of
these guys.
people oh my God, what's going on? We got to figure it out. It's okay. We have to do this. Okay, now we go do this and this. Okay, what do we have to do now? We have to go do this. Okay, let's go do this. And
yeah, something's. I mean, the actors are so great. There's still a lot of good things about it, but it's just lacking some.
That new character they're throwing into the mix as well, the con man type style character. Can't remember his name. He was so interesting.
We must not have made that.
Who are you talking about? Not their son.
I don't know who it is. It's a new character that came in for a couple of episodes, and there was a bit of a argy-bargy with him and Ichabod.
Oh no, we stopped watching right before then. We plan on going back, but.
Basically, Ichabod didn't like him because he's not a very honourable person and this and that sort of thing, because he kind of works for the highest bidder, or is in it for the money sort of thing.
He's a merc.
He's a merc, and it was just sort of I think I must have watched about 6, maybe 5, maybe 6 episodes, and I just got bored.
We got kind of bored with it.
I mean, maybe it gets better. I don't know, but But we loved it season 1.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's something missing season 2, and
I couldn't stop talking about it in season 1.
I think what's missing from season 2 is the fun.
Yeah, it is.
It was kind of fun in season 1. It was kind of fun. It was sort of like you had the whole fish out of water thing with Ichabod trying to get used to our technology.
Yeah.
And all the modern day colloquialisms. Help me out here. Yeah. And,
I remember when he was talking about language, and he was like, awful meant full of awe or something really good, like awesome. And then intercourse was a conversation. Means you're engaging in conversation. And she goes, so you could go on a first date, have awful intercourse, and still want to have a second date? And he's like, disturbingly, yes.
Yeah, that's what's missing from the from the new season. Dialogue like that, it's just kind of like gone. But I suppose in a way, Ichabod's been on in 21st century wherever for a year now, so he's probably adapted. But
it would take a year, more than a year, to fully adapt. Honestly, I mean, that would be.
It would be like going to another country and trying to adapt the culture almost.
Yeah, they should. What they should do for season 3 is they should sort of like they should leave Sleepy Hollow and take it to England. And then Ichabod can actually, see how much English culture has deteriorated since he was last there.
He won't. That way, he won't think it's just the Americans that have gone downhill.
Exactly.
Is there any other worst? Do you have a worst series? Returning series?
Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing.
I loved Peter Capaldi. I think Peter Capaldi has been brilliant, but I think he's been ill-served by some pretty dodgy scripts.
Well, I think it's so silly. They keep talking about, is he a good man or is he a bad man? They always talk about it. That's just it. They talk about it. They never really show anything that would make you think he's a bad person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the whole thing in the first episode that he's in, they have that phone call between Clara and Matt Smith at the end. And I'm thinking, that's just sort of like to appease the fangirls that are into Matt Smith, that are going, I'm not watching it. You got an old guy, the doctor, you got it. So I thought, but I thought that was insulting to all those young girls and young women that are all for Peter Capaldi, because sort of like there is a split there. And I just felt it was more. I felt that scene was kind of like insulting to the teenagers that were into the idea of having an older guy.
I love the fact that he's Scottish. I mean, I love that.
I love that he's kept his accent and stuff like that. And but the internal logic, the whole sort of like they had Clara last year, the Impossible Girl, and nothing was done this season to sort of like even resolve that or even explain it. And there was all sorts of things. There was some good episodes, but there was some really sucky ones.
I was confused about who Clara really is now, because they just sort of act like she's a regular person now.
So they've gotten really goobly-goo in their explanations.
Oh, you're talking like Doctor Who. Oh, goobly-goo. And timey-wimey in their explanations.
Yeah, they just kind of like suddenly fix something and it just doesn't make any sense how it happened.
Yeah, and I'm like you. I don't think it's anything wrong with the actor, with the new doctor. I think we've all gotten used to getting a new doctor every so often. So I mean, it's not that it's him. It's just I think the writing hasn't really been up to par. But I don't think it's really been up to par the last few seasons.
I'd sort of like say the last season was kind of, beginning to go downhill. I mean, there were problems with the 50th anniversary episode. That rewatched it, but the 50th anniversary episode certainly wasn't the worst episode coming out last year.
I liked that one.
Best. I like that one. The episode where Matt Smith regenerates is just shit.
Well, and there were a few, I don't remember if it was last season or the season before, but it just felt like when you're watching it, it just felt like everything was in a dead run, and everything was like an explosion, and everything was happening really, really fast, and there just wasn't a whole lot of dialogue that was really meant anything, you know?
Yeah, I think it's time for Stephen Moffat. I mean, it's hard for me to say this because I think he's a fantastic writer, but I think it's time for him to go. I don't think he's a very good producer.
Yeah, and there comes a time where you need some fresh ideas and fresh set of eyes and a fresh brain to kind of approach, the show.
Yeah. They need to do away with bringing Daleks and Cybermen back every year as well.
Getting silly
now. You're like, okay, well, it's either going to be Daleks or Cybermen.
Or maybe the Master. Or the Master with the Daleks.
Cybermen.
Yeah, it's getting a little unimaginative. You know what they should do? What would be an interesting take from BBC standpoint is every time they do a different Doctor, they should change showrunners. And just because then the showrunner is going to bring a certain new energy to it that would go really well with whoever the new Doctor would have another energy. That would be
interesting idea.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it operated when the original series was on. You basically had new showrunners for the Hartnell. You had two showrunners because Verity Lambert stayed with Hartnell's Doctor for 2 years, and then she was replaced. And then kind of towards the beginning or middle of Troughton's era, another showrunner came in. And then they changed showrunner again for the Pertwee. And Tom Baker's era had about 3 different showrunners before John Nathan Turner came on. And then what happened, you had John Nathan Turner for the tail end of Tom Baker all through right to the end of the classic era of the series, which was partly why it kind of, went tits up, to be honest. But by the same token, if John Nathan Turner hadn't stuck around, the classic series wouldn't have continued on because Michael Grade was trying to cancel it, and John Nathan Turner's the only reason that it stayed around. How about as we wrap up, just very quickly mention a couple of web series, but just mention them, not go too heavily.
No, I think Marx wants to spend more time.
Well, I can mention a couple if you want.
Okay.
So a few new ones, I'll just say that were interesting, that were genre, would be like the superhero series Caper. It's from experienced TV producer Amy Berg. It's kind of a comedy type series. It was interesting. I thought it was a fun little show. And then season 3 of Malice, which was actually called Malice Metamorphosis, kind of kicked it up a notch in story and visual effects. So I thought that was worth checking out.
Yeah, I've always liked that show.
And an oldie but goodie, which will have a new season soon, is 8 and 5, which is a sci-fi noir series. It's black and white. It's all done green screen, so they add in animation
and they hand draw. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's a really
detail.
Cool series, which is has a season 2 coming up soon, which I helped with. Those are a few highlights, I think. There are more, and there are plenty more returning ones, but there's a few to check out.
Yeah, and worth mentioning, I think 8 and 5 Series 2 has Richard Hatch in it.
It does. Right? It does have Richard Hatch in it.
Interesting. Yeah. All right.
Not the winner of Survivor, Richard Hatch.
No.
I forgot about that.
Not the reality TV Richard Hatch. The sci-fi Richard Hatch.
The scripted TV Richard Hatch. But...
And on that note, I think that's a good way to end it.
And we should wish everybody a Happy New Year, right?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Eid coming up, Happy
Eid. I don't know.
I have to look at the calendar.
Happy whatever you celebrate at the end of the year.
Happy winter solstice.
There we go.
I've always wanted to do this. The whole sort of like trading places thing. Merry New Year!